Um, there's always a question, how close should I be to the mic to be heard? That's probably, to me, seems about right. Okay for you people in the back? About 2 inches away from it. Okay. Well, my name is David Hayward, and you'll see it up there on the screen. You will soon see it on the screen. Yeah. So, again, just a word of introduction. I want to thank you for inviting me over here today. And be a pleasure to talk to you and give you a little rundown on what I was doing during World War II. Okay, we'll advance this one. Oh wait, it has to be this way. Okay. According to this, I was 19 years old. I lived in Pasadena, not too far from here. And I had a 1934 Ford V8 there. You can see that I loved. It was my whole life. It was December 1941. Now you people have been studying in your history class World War II, and you know that it all started for us when the Imperial Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor and virtually destroyed our Pacific Fleet. And it was a time when the country was in deep trouble. The Nazi Germans had conquered all of Europe and were in the process of conquering Great Britain. On the other side of the earth, the Japanese had built up a tremendous navy and had conquered the Eastern Asian area, including the Philippines, which belonged to the United States. Hong Kong belonged to Great Britain. And so we realized that the country was really in deep trouble at that time, and that we were going to have to serve one way or another. We could either enlist and do something that we might find there's some enjoyment in doing it, if you would call it enjoyment in wartime. And I had seen every movie there was on flying airplanes during the 1930s and decided that's what I wanted to do. One of the nice things about those movies is the good guy always got the beautiful girl and the bad guy always got killed. So I don't know if that was my incentive or not, but at least I was thrilled with the idea of flying airplanes. So I enlisted in the, at that time it was called the Army Air Force, and I went to flying school, and I'll tell you a little bit about my experience as I went along. There's one thing I did want to mention before the meeting. I was thinking back to when I was a student at John Marshall Junior High School in Pasadena. One day the announcement was made that there will be a veteran of World War I who's going to come to the school. He'll be in the auditorium, and we want everybody to go down to the auditorium and listen to what that World War I veteran has to say. So I went there like everyone else did, and it turned out that the World War I veteran was a man by the name of Sergeant Alvin York. Now, most of you don't know who Alvin York was, but he turned out that he was a Congressional Medal of Honor winner, and they made a movie of him later, and the star was Gary Cooper, of course. Gary Cooper. So the point I wanted to make is that Gary Cooper, Alvin York told about how his squad went around these hills. He had pillows set up there to indicate where these hills were located. He led his squad around to the back of the hills, and he captured the German machine gun nest that was there. And so I remembered that story all my life. And I'm just wondering if since that was some 70 years ago, how many of you students will remember 70 years from now that a World War II veteran came and talked to you in your high school? Because I remember that very vividly, having happened to me. All right, well, let's go on to the story now. The first base that I served at was the Santa Ana Army Air Base. And if you don't know already, it was located close to where you are right now. It had Harbor Boulevard on the west side, Newport Avenue on the east side, and it had Baker on the north side, and Wilson on the south side. And that's where we were located. We did not have any pavement at that time. We just had adobe soil. And I think it rained every day that month of March 1942. Now bear in mind that in March, the war had only been on just 3 months. And the base was not very well equipped to handle this. And I'm going to sit down now if you can still see me. There, that's a lot better. Okay, it rained very hard. It seemed like every day that month. And the base did not have much for us to do, so they just kept us busy marching. Now, you'll see there's a tall tower there, and on the top is a loudspeaker. And in the loudspeaker, they were playing the John Philip Sousa march music continually. And that kept us marching and kept us all fired up that we were going to really get out there and give them hell and all that business. So those were the barracks that we lived in. Now, one of those barracks has been preserved, and you can see it now. It's over on Fair Drive, just off of Fairview, and it's all painted up, and they've turned it into a museum, and it's called Heroes Hall. So I suggest sometime if you're in that area, you drop in and you'll see exhibits of memorabilia from World War II and from other wars as well. So anyway, that's what we were doing, marching and marching and marching. Now another thing they did for us, they gave us shots of all kinds. One of our pilots was a great artist, and he did that work. And if you want to know what shots they gave us, you name it, cholera, yellow fever, anything they gave us, and it really hurt. And then we had to go out and march with our aching shoulders and arms. Well, the happy day came after 1 month at Santa Ana Army Air Base. They sent us up to Tulare, which is near Bakersfield in the San Joaquin Valley. And we started flying that airplane. It's a Stearman biplane, and it was a lot of fun to fly. Gosh, it could do loop-the-loops and barrel rolls and dives and climbs, and every once in a while the instructor would cut back on the throttle and he'd shout, "Forced landing." So it was up to the pilot to look out on either side and see, is there a plowed field or a golf course or a strip of beach or someplace where you could put this airplane down, even a river. Now you probably saw the movie Sully, where they had to land an airplane in the river, in the Hudson River, and I immediately thought back, well, that's what they taught us to do every day in primary flying school, to look out and see where we could land this airplane. And I know while I served in China during World War II that at least one of our crews actually did that and landed in a river. So by Sully having to do that, it was nothing new. It was something that we were taught to do just automatically. Okay, after 6 months of flying that airplane and then a little more advanced plane and another one even more advanced down at Chandler, Arizona in the Phoenix area, we graduated and got our wings. Right there you'll see our wings, the pilot's wings. and second lieutenant's bars on the shoulders. So that was really a great day. A lot of the fellows had washed out of flying school by that time, and I was just one of the lucky ones that made it through. If the instructor thought you were kind of jerky with the controls, or you got sick, or you looked at least not very comfortable, he'd wash you out right away and send you back to Santa Ana to be reassigned to something else, a bombardier or a navigator or whatever. So it was touch and go all the way through flying school to make sure we didn't get washed out. So we tried our very best all the time to please our instructors. After getting our commission on our wings and graduating from flying school, we were assigned to learn how to fly the B-25. You'll see there it's a medium bomber, it's twin engine. It has a crew of 6 people. It has a pilot and a co-pilot. And in the nose of the airplane there's a navigator or a bombardier, or sometimes a person trained to do both jobs. In the back there was a turret gunner here and other gunners in the back of the airplane. So we had 6 months of that kind of training back in Greenville, South Carolina, and we learned how to navigate and to fly in all kinds of weather and land in all kinds of strange landing fields. And it took us to some really interesting places like Key West, Florida, and different places all around the East Coast. So that was a fun place to fly. And there again, we worried this time not about washing out as much as we all wanted to be the first pilot. Nobody wanted to be a co-pilot where you just sit there and take orders from the first pilot. So we tried, and I know I spent an awful lot of time there just going through the tech manuals and learning everything I could about this airplane so that I'd be really right on top of it. You have to get so familiar with those planes that in time it's almost like your right hand. You don't have to think and tell your right hand what to do. It just seems to know what to do. And that's the way you have to be if you're a pilot in an airplane. It's just an extension of your own right arm. So that was quite an experience. On that same plane, known as the Mitchell, in April 1942, Jimmy Doolittle took a group of those planes off of